Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great week. This video is going to walk you through the two major assignments that you will have to complete for this course. So there are two major assignments in the course and each assignment is worth 40 points. So everyone is going to complete what we call the co-teaching lesson plan and presentation assignment. However, on the second major assignment, you're going to have a choice. So you can choose to either do an interview or a journal article review. So we're going to walk and go through all of the assignments. That way you can have a deeper understanding of the expectations and the assignment itself. So how you get to the assignment, it's going to be underneath the module 1 getting started and it will be underneath major assignments. As you can see here, I have it highlighted. So I do have the dates listed for you. You have the the choice assignment is going to be due February 26th, and the co-teaching lesson plan and teaching strategy is going to be due April the 2nd. So like I said, one of them I do allow you the student to choose of which assignment they feel would be best. So underneath the assignments, you are going to see that you have the interview, which gives the assignment instructions as well as the rubric. You're going to have the journal article report. You're going to have the co-teaching lesson plan and presentation. Now, the co-teaching lesson plan and presentation has quite a few links or web pages that's really going to help you support you because it is a major assignment. So what I want you to do is if you click on major assignments, okay, it's a little tricky to find, but if you click on it, you see it's blue, that means you can click there. When you click on it, it's going to take you to a resource page. So obviously it talks about that there's two major assignments that everyone will complete the co-teaching lesson plan, but you get a choice on the second assignment. So you can either choose to do the interview or the journal article review. Now, I I had the librarian make up these videos that I thought would be helpful for you because when you're completing these assignments, you're going to have to do what we call research, right? You're going to have to use the database and search engines. So she created two videos for our class that's really going to help us. So the first video here, and it's a link, so when you click on it, it'll take you to it. So I'll open up in a new tab so you can see.
Hello, my name's Sabrina Moreland.
Okay, so it's also captioned there for students. But this is really going to be a library resources video. So in this video, she's going to be talking about search tips for how do you navigate search engines and also how do you navigate databases to use that in your research. Also, she shows you how to search the library database through Water State. And then she goes over a few formatting basics for APA. So whenever you're doing research, it's important for students to cite their work. You cannot take credit for someone else's work. You will be using what we call the APA format. So she talks a little bit about that. The second video is really going to just hone in on citing itself. So it's really going to give you citation help about APA. So she shows you the library homepage, where to go to find these guides, what the citation manuals look like, and how they help you. She also gives you another resource called Purdue OWL website and talks about that. And then also Ask a Librarian. So the librarian's name is Sabrina Moreland, and she is actually embedded in our course. So if you were to click on course tools and say you click class list, you're going to see when you scroll down, you're going to see research coach. That is the librarian. So if you have a question about anything, feel free to email her, send her an email. And she's really going to be able to help you with your research and also with citing sources. She's a wonderful help. So please utilize her. So, like I said, you have the two assignments, but these are really going to help you with your assignments. So, moving on, let's talk about the choice assignment. So, let's go over the interview. So, the purpose of the assignment is really for you to get the parents' side. You're going to see what it's like for the parent who has a child with disability. So you're going to interview a parent who has a child with a disability that requires special education services. And you're going to hopefully gain a lot from this. Okay. So you already have your preconceived notions about what the child might think, or your thoughts or actions about working with children with a disability. But you don't understand that you are going to be collaborating, working with these parents. So it's important for you to be able to understand and experience and think about the parent, right? And also the family as a unit. And this hopefully will help you. But I did put this here for you as far as the guidelines. So the first section I want to go through is going to be the interview instructions. So obviously the interview must be conducted with a parent, parents, or legal guardian of a child with educational disability. So the child has to have what we call an IEP, which is an individualized education plan in a school system. However, the interviewee, the person you interview, cannot be a relative. Okay. Now, another thing to think about is confidentiality. It's a must. As an educator, you have to keep what we call confidentiality. In this assignment, when you are writing it up, you will refer to the children and adults by their initials or a pseudonym for any work that you submit, because you cannot break confidentiality. So I do not need to know the parents' names or adults. So a lot of people would just use their initials or make up a name. So just make sure you do not breach confidentiality. So the interview really can take place in many ways. So you can do it in person, you can do it over the phone through FaceTimes, you can do it online in Teams or Zoom. It's really up to you and that person's schedule and how you want to conduct the interview. Okay, so I would suggest I would suggest to do it either in person or online where you can see them, because sometimes when you observe physical reaction or get to see their face, it lets you have a gain a more deeper understanding, right? Because you can observe facial expressions. This is also allowing you to build a better rapport with them. Um, it feels a little distant sometimes through phone conversations, so just keep that in mind. However, I understand that scheduling can be an issue as well as access. So it's important for you to think about those things. So it may come down to where you have to do a phone meeting because you don't have any other choice. But please indicate that in your paper, like how you conduct the interview and why you conducted it that way. Also, you're going to include questions. So the questions here are below, okay? And it's underneath parent interview questions. What I tell people to do is you will start a new Word document and you're going to just copy and paste all these questions, right? Because it's easier than you having to type them out. Now, one thing to note is you will have to put verbatim what they said. So it's almost going to be like a transcript, right? So you will list the question and then you will put a answer, right? Or the initials, and then next to it you put exactly what they said. Okay, you don't have to quote it because it's going to be working transcription, but it's important to put their initials underneath and then what they said. That way we can decipher who's speaking at that point. Another thing to note is it's okay if the interviewee declined an answer to any of the questions. That's fine. You just need to know by putting that in there. But let them know that if they're uncomfortable and they don't want to answer the question, that's okay. Now, I do have a rubric here at the bottom for you. Please look at the rubric. In order to receive a grade of B or better, you have to add additional questions. Okay, so you'll see here I have several questions, but if you want to get better than a B or B or better, then you need to come up with additional questions, right? It's that you want to ask on your own, and those have to be included in the transcription. You're going to also do what we call a reflection. So after you copy and paste and then you put your additional questions, you're going to do reflection. So I want you to answer these questions in your reflection. How did you locate the family? Where did the interview take place? I want you to discuss two or three topics that surprised you about this parent that has a child. Maybe talk about the systems or the services that were provided to the family. What were your thoughts? How did this interview impact you? Was your ways of understanding of children with disabilities changed? How about their family interactions? What's been affected as far as your thoughts? Do you have a deeper understanding now of working with families? Has that changed? And is this experience really going to change any of your thinking or actions as a future teacher? So that's going to be your reflection component. And that has to be included after the transcript. So I'd like it to be all one document. Okay. If you have, and then of course I have the rubric there for you. So the rubric, like I said, it's worth 40 points. The rubric is important for you to look at before you begin because you get to see the criteria as to what I'm going to be grading you on and how you will be graded. I've divided each section up into different point scales. So as you can see, one of the criteria is going to be the format and the art. Sorry, wrong one. um, One of the criteria is going to be looking at, are all the questions used? Do you have any additional questions? Okay, so you'll see that the three levels you can meet are below, meets, and exceeds. So for meets, you have to use all required questions and at least one or two additional questions. Okay, and families are acknowledged as a primary resource. So one thing I want to note on my rubrics, in order to get A's, you have to do this and that, right? So you're including everything. And you can see that these are the points you can be awarded in this section. Okay, the next section is really going to be looking at your organization, right? So you have your transcript, then you have your reflection. That the transcript is easy to follow and read. You retain confidentiality. You have few writing areas, but it's college level writing. And then the last section is really going to be talking about your reflection and how you're relating to it, your experiences, your insight. What were your reactions or issues? Did this impact you as an educator? So these things are really what I'm looking at. So remember, to get an A, you're looking at this and this. So just keep that in mind. So that's pretty much the interview. So if you choose to do that, that's wonderful. If you don't want to do the interview, say you can't find someone or you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can choose to do what we call the journal article report. So the journal article report is really going to be looking at a peer reviewed journal. Okay, so these are people who are experts in the field and the journals that you're going to be using has to come from teaching exceptional children. So you're going to select an article from teaching exceptional children, and the article has to be a peer reviewed journal, okay, which most of the teaching exceptional children are. It has to be a topic inside of special education. Now, here's the good thing. You can choose the topic as long as it pertains to special education. So maybe it's something you're interested in. Maybe, it pertains to your future experience in the classroom. Say, for instance, you want to teach math. Okay, so maybe you want to teach math. So maybe pick an article that relates to that subject. So, one of the things I want to note, and I even put it here, is that not all information in a peer reviewed journal is referred or reviewed. Okay, so these would be like things like editorials or letters to the editor or book reviews or surveys. They don't count as article, okay, and they're not accepted. So if you're unsure, please reach out and ask me or the librarian, okay? So I put a link here to Teaching Exceptional Children for you. You can also find them in our library database, which is in the videos that I showed you with Sabrina Moreland, the librarian. So I would probably watch these videos because these videos are really going to help you, right? The library resources video, because she really teaches you how to use the library database and how you can use it to find articles that are peer reviewed. And if you get stuck, reach out to her. She can help guide you right where you need to be. Okay. The video is also really instrumental in helping you narrow down and find in our database these articles. So, one of the things that I want you to do is when you're picking an article from the Journal of Teaching Exceptional Children, think about what does it mean for peer reviewed article, right? So these kind of articles really deal with practical methods and materials for classroom use. So really we're aiming these articles for teachers. A lot of these are for children who have disabilities, or most of them are, or they're gifted. And these journal is an official journal of the Council for Exceptional Children. So that's why I chose Teaching Exceptional Children. So this is why I wanted you to get insight into why I picked this. Because this is going to be something that you deal with, even if you're not going to be in special education classroom or resource room, you are going to have inclusion, which means a lot of classrooms have students who have special needs that will be in your gen ed classrooms. So, when we think about critical review, we really look at evaluating the strengths and weaknesses of an article, right? And looking at its ideas and the content itself. So, really gives you an analysis or interprets what is valuable and what's relatable to the reader. That's what we mean by peer reviewed. So, obviously, when you are reviewing an article and you're using this article, you have to cite it because you're using this in your work. So, just like here, I mentioned earlier, Sabrina the librarian has really helped us out by giving us some inside basic formatting for APA, but also a really good in depth in how you use the manuals to help you cite the sources. So in this case, you're only going to be citing this one source, this one article. Okay, so you have to use APA and cite this article, and I want it at the top of your paper. Okay, so before you put your name and the assignment and the date, I want that first. Now, right, just an example, uh, the APA citation is not a title. Okay, this is just citing the source. So below, you're going to see an example of how you cite a source here that I put in here for you. Now remember, if you're unfamiliar with citation, you can visit the library website, but I just told you to just reach out to her through email because she's embedded in our course. And also she has included these videos to help you. Now, the review in total should be at least 2 pages. I don't want any more than 3 pages. That's too much for a review. So you can't go past three, and it needs to be at least two. So 2 to 3 pages. Make sure you do 1.5 spacing. It just makes it easier when I'm reading these because I do like to print them out so I'm not always staring at the screen. So if I'm going to be looking at it on paper, I would like it to be in a font that I can read, so at least 12 point. Sometimes I'll even take 14. It needs to be typed up in Word. Okay, so that is going to be something I require as well. And the spacing helps my eyes when I'm reading it on paper. Now, how do you set your paper up? Well, I gave you guidelines and how the format of the review paper should look. So the first section is really going to be your name. Now, remember, at the very top above your name, I want you to use your citation. So that's going to be first. Then under that, you're going to put your name, my class name. So this here, what you're going to type, and then the date. Okay. And then you're going to remember put your reference at the top. Okay, so I can quickly address and look up the article, and I want to make sure it's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And then the third section is really where you're going to start your paper. So you really go, or the third part, you're going to summarize the article in your own words. So just sum it up, telling me a short synopsis of what the article is about. Now, the next part is where you're going to give a minimum of 4 points made by the article. So pick 4 things that the article is really leaning toward. Make sure you mention why you believe these are significant content. to any reader. And make sure you use complete sentence and elaborate your thoughts. The next section is going to be your critique, right? A critique means that you are going to give your opinion of the author's work. Remember, it has to be in relation to what a teacher would be using in the classroom. So maybe you talk about things you agreed with, maybe you talk about things you disagreed with, or questions it left you with, or things you'd like to look up some more information on. And then also in the critique, you're going to really give your opinion based on any life experiences you have. Maybe you work in the classroom, maybe you work at an after school program or a daycare. So, any experiences that you could use, or maybe theories from our class or any material in our class that you've learned so far or from other classes, you can use your opinion based on those things, right? And remember, if you use a direct quote from the article, it has to be cited. And you're going to be doing what we call in-text citations, which is something that Sabrina goes over inside these videos here. The last thing you're going to do, the last section is where you're going to really describe two specific examples. Okay, so how are you going to implement and use these ideas were presented to you in the article to assist you in your future classroom? Okay. So, one note I want to make is that if you sometimes students like to submit something early from it to let me go over it to give you feedback. I'm more than happy to do that. I'm obviously not going to read the entire thing. That is when I'm grading it. But if you want to say, hey, am I on the right track? Do I need to scrap this and start something? That is fine. I'm happy to look at it to see if you need more edits or you're on the right track. So this is a great opportunity for you to receive feedback from me. So when you're doing this, the first two sections here are really just going to be how you create your title page, right? 1 and 2 is your title page. 3, you need to do a paragraph. 4, a paragraph. 5, you're probably going to have to break up into maybe a couple paragraphs. It depends on how much you write. And then um, 6 obviously is going to be its own paragraph. And remember, 6 is kind of going to be your closing, right? Where you're making those connections and how it impacted you and thinking about future moving forward. So 6 is really going to be your closing. So your paper should flow kind of like your review should flow like a paper. It should make sense. It should be very fluid and have all the criteria listed here. Now, obviously, I put the rubric at the bottom. I'm going to show you. It's the one I accidentally clicked on first. But here's the different criteria. I always tell students whenever you're doing an assignment for courses, a major assignment, it's important for you to look at the rubrics twice. Look at the rubric once before you begin so you can get an idea of what they're wanting. The second thing is to always look at it before you're ready to turn it in, almost as a checklist, right? That you're going through, I've got this, I did that, I did that. The rubric is really helpful because not only did it show you like what's expected, but it tells you all the things that have to be included in its point values. Okay, so the 3 criteria you're going to be looking at is going to be obviously your formatting. That's a big one. Did you choose the article from Teaching Exceptional Children? Did you follow the length uh, requirement? Are you using APA in text citations as well as your citation at the top? The next one I'm going to really look at is your article summary, right? So, is the article well summarized or did you just verbatim put stuff from the article? Remember, I want it in your own words. Did you include the 4 points of importance? Are they identified? And then if you used any quotations or quotes directly, can I understand it? And did you cite it? And then the last criteria really is looking at your critique and your conclusion. So you have to tell me kind of what you agreed with, what you didn't, because that's part of critiquing the article. Um, and I'm able to decipher, is this your opinion or is this fact? And then also your conclusion as well. So one other thing that I wanted to note is that some students here, where it says the critique of the article and its findings are clearly delineated as opinion or facts. Some students even bring in a second source where they want to back up something that they put in their critique. That is completely fine, but you do have to cite it. Okay, so that would mean you'd have two different citations. So you would include that second one at the bottom, just so it's not confusing. But that would also have to be cited as well. Most of the time, what students will do is if they pull in another source, they can provide evidence for the fact. They will do an in-text citation, and at the end, they'll include that at the bottom, like with the reference page. That's totally up to you. I'm not going to count off points if you don't have a reference page because you're going to be citing the exceptional children article at the top. But if you're pulling in more than one source, um, then you really need to do a reference page at the end. But you can see here how the point value is breaking up and that it would also equal 40 points. So both of the assignments are worth 40 points. So you will get to choose which one you want to do, either the interview or you will be doing the peer reviewed article. It's really going to be up to you. So, something else I wanted to note is when you're in Module 1 and you're looking at the major assignments, and again, I'm going to show you how to get there. Okay, you'll go to Module 1, you'll click Assessment Information, and it's right underneath called Major Assignments. When you first click on it, it's going to tell you the due dates. Okay, it's highlighted or you are not turning in two assignments. Okay, you're going to complete interview or their journal article report. So you pick one of them. It tells you the due date is February 26th. To get to the videos, you will just click on the link and it will come up there and that will show you the two videos. Underneath that, I'm going to probably, because this video is a little bit long, I'm going to probably do a separate video, but just to get you started and understand the two major assignments, the second assignment you have here is the co-teaching lesson plan. It's also underneath the interview and journal article report. Okay. What I want you to do for now is I want you to go through this material under major assignments. I want you to look at the instructions. I have also included a video that explains it, but I will send another one out later. We're going to really try to hone and really have our focus on these first two as far as what choice you're making. And then I have the in-task standards that will go along with the assignment, which that's why I'm doing a second video so you could understand that. And then of course, examples and videos that show you what co-teaching models look like. But for now, I just wanted to show you where everything was, but please make sure to look ahead at the co-teaching, which is also one of your major assignments. All right, I hope you found this helpful. Like always, please reach out. Just because this is not an in-person class and it's online, I'm still available to help. We can have phone conversation. I can meet you over Teams. So I'm here if you need any support, as well as the librarian when you're doing your research. So I hope everyone has a great week. And until next time, take care.